Hey guys, welcome to this week's review of Porsha Family Matters, Season 1, Episode 2. Well, you know what? Technically, for me at least, this is Season 2, right? Because if you watch Tisa Tells, that was Season 1. Go to Tisa Tells channels and watch every video that she has on Porsha, Simon, Fallon, and that whole, I don't want to call it a mess. I'm not going to be rude and call it a mess, but that whole situation. If you want the tea, if you want the dirt, if you want the timeline, okay, go watch Tisa Tells because she really breaks it down. And that was Season 1 for me, right? So now we're moving on to Season 2. Which is the show, okay? So let's get into the review. I did watch episode 1. I tried to do a review, but there was nothing, I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of fatigued off of the whole Porsha, Simon, and that whole situation. But that by the time episode 1 came around, I feel like I already knew all the tea. I already knew all the information. So when I tried to do the review, it was like, I don't know. I didn't really have much to say. It wasn't a terrible episode, but you know how first episodes are. They're an introduction, so you can't really expect them to really get into it, right? But episode 2, it's picking up and I'm enjoying it. And listen, if Kim Zolciak can have Tardy for the Party for like 500 seasons, okay, I'm not going to say nobody watched that show, but I don't know what else to say, right? So if that show can be a thing, listen, Porsha's show can be a thing. If she has content, right? What the hell? Why not? And we're not getting Real Housewives of Atlanta anytime soon, so I guess we're just gonna have to deal with this. And also, you know what show I'm looking forward to is the Candy show with her restaurant, right? Which is supposed to be like a Vanderpump Rules. I actually think that show will be really good. So I hope it meets my expectation. Maybe I need to lower it just a tad, but I know that's going to be a good show. So I cannot wait for that. And from what I've seen so far, Porsha definitely seems to, not only is Porsha fairly interesting, I guess you can say, but it seems like she has people around her that are also interesting and are also willing to open up, right? So I'm here for it. So the episode starts off with Porsha and Lauren, and I'll say this. It's kind of nice to see more of Lauren's personality and what Lauren has going on, right? Because when you see her on Real Housewives of Atlanta, she feels like more of a prop for Porsha's ego. You know what I mean? Like, we usually just see Lauren nodding, you know, and Porsha just going on and on about her life. So it's nice to kind of hear about what Lauren has going on in her life, you know. So I'm here for it, and I like Lauren, I do. So kudos to Lauren. So they're talking about, I guess Porsha's having another birthday party for family, right? And this is so weird. So Porsha doesn't want Dennis to bring a date to her birthday party, right? And she kind of slips up while talking to Lauren and calls Dennis her man, which is really effed up. Listen, okay, Dennis may be a serial cheater, but word on the street is that Simon isn't really that different from Dennis when it comes to that. But we'll leave that over there, okay? I don't know. I like Dennis and Porsha. I don't know. I like their chemistry. Now, I understand that maybe the relationship is toxic and dysfunctional and it probably wouldn't have worked. But I don't know. I don't know. I like their energy more than Simon and Porsha. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen too much of Simon and Porsha at this point, But I don't know. With Simon, she feels a little bit more tense. Even though last episode she says, with Simon, I can be my complete self. But just from watching it, she doesn't seem like her complete self. She seems really tense. Now, that could just be, yes, it's a new relationship. The cameras are there. She probably, has been getting a lot of hate on social media. So therefore, she's kind of super conscious and aware of how her and Simon are coming off to the cameras. So because of that, she can't fully relax into the moment. That may be it. But I don't know. I prefer her and Dennis together. I don't know. I do. But, Dennis didn't get his shit together. And I guess Porsha didn't get her shit together. And it didn't work, which is sad. But it is what it is, right? But it is kind of weird that Dennis can't bring a date. Now, if Porsha was single and she said to Dennis, you can't bring a date to my birthday party, then I think that would be fairish. Some people will still say that's petty. Some people will still say that's controlling. That some people will say, well, she's still not over him and da 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 da. But for me personally, if she hadn't moved on, I would be like, you know what, that's fair, because it could be awkward to bring a date, especially if you're not that serious with that person and you have them around, their daughter or whatever. But Porsha's engaged. Porsha's not only dating somebody else, she's engaged, right? And okay, fine, it's her birthday party. This is not like a party for PJ. If it was a party for PJ, I think it would be, a different set of rules. But this is Porsha's own personal party, so I think she's allowed to bring a date, right? If she was to bring a date to the party and said, Dennis, you're not allowed to bring a date, I think that's fair, because it's her birthday party, so she gets to set the rules, right? But when you're engaged to be married to someone else, it's kind of like, why do you care? Now, on the flip side with Dennis, I feel like, I don't know, I don't really feel like Dennis has a date to bring in the first place, right? I think maybe he would bring somebody else around just to be petty or to be spiteful, right? Now, if Dennis had a girlfriend that he was dating for a while now and he wanted to bring her, that may be a different situation. But I feel like Dennis would just bring somebody for the sake of bringing somebody. And if this was any sort of other celebration, maybe if this was Thanksgiving dinner or a Christmas party or something else, then I would be like, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, right? If Porsha wasn't hosting this event and, maybe it was Porsha's mom that was hosting an event or whatever, then I would be like, okay, do what you want to do. But this is Porsha's birthday party. Porsha's hosting the event, and it is kind of weird to me, but it's her party at the end of the day, so she doesn't want you to bring a date. She doesn't want you to bring a date. Does it look kind of weird? Does it look like Porsha's not fully over Dennis? Yeah, it does. Even with that Freudian slip when she called Dennis her man, I feel like she definitely has feelings for Dennis. But, well, according to Dennis, right, they were having issues, they broke up, they got back together, and Porsha wanted to be re-engaged. I don't know if that's the term, right? Because I guess they were engaged, they broke it off, and they got back, and she wanted the ring back. But Dennis didn't want to give the ring back because he felt like they still had some stuff they had to work through, which is totally fair and makes sense. But Porsha wanted to be engaged again. And I don't know, Porsha moves very fast. Like, if you watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, and anytime she's dating somebody, she's always like 10 steps ahead, right? And I think Porsha loves the idea of being in love. She loves the idea of being engaged and being somebody's husband. But I don't know if she's very too much present in the moment and really getting to know this person. Not in a day, not in 2 weeks, right? But who's to say what the amount of time you have? Like, some people will say you should date somebody for a year, and if they don't propose or you're not engaged or getting married in a year, then you should move on. Everybody has their own timeline, but 2 weeks, Porsha, 2 weeks. So this is a trend for her. She doesn't really take the time to get to know the person and really see if she's compatible, because anybody can present anything to you on day 1, day 2, day 3, right? Through time, you really are going to see who the person is. And getting married is a big commitment, right? Now, getting divorced is a bit easier nowadays, right? But still, that's a lot to go through. So you don't want to rush into anything, right? So what was I saying? I just rambled and rambled. But yeah, I mean, I think she really, I don't know if I think she rushed things with Dennis as well. But they had a beautiful baby. PJ is adorable. You know, you wish it could have worked, but it didn't. It is what it is, but I still think she has feelings for Dennis. I really do. I don't even think she really gave herself time to process the breakup with Dennis, because she just rushed into things with Simon. So I feel like simultaneously she's having this new thing with Simon, but then at the same time grieving the breakup with Dennis. And it's not like, it's even harder because they have a child, right? If they didn't have a child, then she can kind of let him go, out of sight, out of mind, right? She wouldn't have to deal with him ever again. But she's going to have to deal with Dennis for the rest of her life, right? Because they have a daughter together. So it's kind of hard to move forward when it's like you have to constantly see this person. You can't just be like, okay, I'm done with you. So it is what it is. I mean, she put herself in that situation, so hopefully she can handle it. Lauren, we heard a little bit about Lauren and her on again, off again boyfriend. And part of the reason that they're off again is because of Simon, because like many people, he's not a fan of Simon, right? Listen, I get that, right? You don't have to like anybody, but this is Lauren's sister's man, right? Like, what do you expect Lauren to do in that situation? She's never going to talk to Simon. That's a ridiculous expectation, right? Nor could she tell Porsha to break up with Simon. She can't control Porsha. That's Porsha's life, right? Porsha's going to do what she's going to do. I mean, you can give your advice. You can say what you think. But at the end of the day, Porsha has free will. So what other options are there? You're not going to talk to Porsha anymore. You're not going to talk to your own sister. And it's going to be awkward if you're not going to talk to your sister's man. Especially at that point, he hasn't really done anything directly towards you or your sister. So if you're not going to talk to him, obviously that's going to strain Lauren's relationship with Porsha, right? Portia's going to feel some type of way because Simon's going to feel some type of way. So that's kind of severing that relationship. So I feel like, listen, I don't know the full details. I can totally understand Lauren's man not liking Simon. It seems to be plenty of reasons. He may even have personal reasons that we do not know about, right? But what do you expect? Like, what is Lauren supposed to do in that situation? It's out of her control. And she's not going to jeopardize the relationship with her sister just to satisfy her boyfriend. And listen, I don't know him, but it's giving me red flags, especially the on again, off again. I don't know. It seems like, what they say. I don't want to say this, but what they say with kind of when you're in abusive relationships, your partner may try to isolate you from your friends and your family, and that's kind of the vibe it's giving me, is like he's trying to isolate Lauren from her family and her relationships, and he's trying to control the situation, right? And forcing Lauren to make a decision that really isn't her place to make in the first place. So I know, and it was just so sad to see Lauren break down and crying. I was like, oh, I really felt for her, for those who been in the on again, off again thing, and breakups are hard. It really is, but I hope that she can move forward, right? Porsha can be a little self-centered at times, but I love that Porsha, when Lauren broke down and was like, I know people say that it's not the best and it's meant to be and blah blah blah. It's hard to hear that while I'm going through it, right? Which is true. When you're going through the emotions, someone just saying, oh well, it's for the best, it can be sort of dismissive and invalidating, right? Even though, yes, that is true, that's not true to what she's feeling in that moment. In the moment, she's feeling pain. In the moment, it's like the worst thing ever for her. So I love that Porsha was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I invalidated your feelings. It must be really hard for you. And I'm here for you, right? It sucks, but there's nothing really you can do for that person, but just to let the person know that I love you. I'm here for you while you go through what you need to go through, right? It sucks, I know, and I'm so sorry. I wish I can take that pain away for you, but we can't. So I'm here, right? Or something along that nature. So that was a really sweet scene. Between the sisters, and I love their relationship. I do. Dennis, I'm pleasantly surprised by Dennis, right? Even the last episode, I like Dennis. I do. I like the energy he is bringing to the show. He's keeping it real, right? He is. And Dennis is like the audience. Dennis is saying what we're all thinking here. Like, what is going on? This Simon and Porsha, this is going on like way too quickly, right? So I do like Dennis. I do like their interaction with his mom. It was a cute little scene when they took PJ to the toy store and she spent, $500 on toys. Oh my God. But I'm here for it. You know what? If they have the money, they want to give PJ that amount of toys, then none of my business. But PJ, she's so adorable. She really is. So that was a cute scene as well. So Porsha has her little, birthday party with family, and we're finally kind of being introduced to everybody officially. And so far, I like Porsha's family. It seems like they're going to make good television. Is that terrible to say? They're going to make good television? But they are, and it feels genuine too. Like no one seems like they're trying to do the most because the cameras are there. It just feels really genuine, but still entertaining. So kudos to Porsha's family. Oh my gosh. Like when Simon showed up, it was really awkward. It was, right? But Porsha's family, listen, I'm going to give it to Porsha's family because they seem very open-minded to Simon and the whole situation, right? But at the end of the day, what other options do they have, right? Because this is Porsha's life. This is Porsha's show. So if she wants to marry a man or get engaged to a man that she only dated for 2 weeks, that's her prerogative. You can't really control that. All you can do is sit back and get to know him and welcome him into the family, right? And it seems like Simon has all the right answers. Now, like I said, if you want season 1, you go to Tisa Tell's channel. And I hate to say this, but from watching her channel and watching some videos when she's talking about Simon, I'm not too very much impressed by him. I don't really get good vibes. I don't really think he's the best for Porsha. But at the table, he's giving, to her family, he's giving the right answers. but there's just a disconnect for me. You know what I mean? One thing that he did say, well, I believe it was Porsha's grandma or her aunt maybe, and they asked a really good question. You've been married 3 times. Porsha is going to be your 4th. What makes Porsha different? And his response was, in therapy, 100 hours, according to him. In his 100 hours in therapy, he learned that he's a rescuer. And that's not his job. His job is not to rescue other women. And that's true. It is. And I don't expect him to go into super detail. But when he's like, I'm a rescuer, right? That's kind of like saying, that's like in a job interview when someone asks you, okay, what are your weaknesses? And you say, I care too much. I work too hard. I don't know when to stop working, right? It's one of those answers that it sounds, yes, it's a weakness, I guess, but it still sounds good, right? But I do know that being a rescuer is very much a thing, right? And then the other person plays the damsel in distress. But the thing about the rescuer, they're not the good guy in the situation. They focus on fixing the other person, because if they are able to fix the other person, they'll be able to heal some sort of trauma within themselves. But the thing about fixing the other person, it's a control issue, right? Like, you're trying to make that person into what you want them to be, right? Which can definitely be problematic. And you don't want to be in a relationship with someone where you feel like they don't like you for who you are, that they want you to be somebody else, right? And it sounds like Simon in his relationships, that has been the setup. And on one hand, it's glad that he has been able to recognize this. But what makes me sort of uncomfortable with the whole thing is that he's still married. He's still married to Fallon, and it seems like their relationship was on it with if it seems like their relationship with Fallon, his relationship with Fallon was on its way out, because Fallon just gave birth. So it seems like they had their own thing going on in that relationship. But I don't know if out of 4 marriages, you have this pattern, right? Simon's in his 60s, right? I'm assuming. So you have been doing this pattern for, when did he first get married? I'm not too sure, but I'm going to say you've been doing this pattern for 30 years. You mean to tell me in a couple of months you've changed? Now, that is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I don't want to say it's unlikely either. But since you know that you can be that kind of person, right, and you know that you have those issues and that you're trying to work on them and change, wouldn't you want to kind of take things a little bit slower? I mean, more than 2 weeks? Hello? Wouldn't you want to take things slower with Porsha? Now, according to Tisa Tells, they've been messing around for more than 2 weeks, okay? Right? But even if we are going to go with Tisa Tells' timeline, right, of them, messing around, it's like, what, 3-4 months at most? Even then, that's such a short period of time, right? Wouldn't you want to kind of get to know her first and make sure you're not repeating certain patterns? Listen, whatever. Some people say when you get older, when you know, right? You know what you don't want, so it's easier to find what you want at that age. I guess. I hope that is the case, but, there's been some recent rumors about Simon, so I don't know if that's entirely true, but I don't know. I don't really like Simon. Sorry. So another kind of awkward moment, Dennis shows up Dennis didn't bring a date, and I'm glad he didn't bring a date because it really wouldn't have been appropriate for this kind of setting. It wouldn't, and it would have came off petty, especially if he's not seriously dating somebody. There's no point to just bring a date. This is not a bring a date event. This is a family barbecue. So why would you? Yeah, I'm really glad that he didn't do that. But it was awkward when, like, they weren't really giving toast, but they were just talking about the situation between Porsha and Dennis and Porsha and Simon and how, and I get it, right? Because Porsha and Dennis have a daughter, I guess everybody wanted them to work out, right? Because that would make the most sense and that would be the best for PJ. But Dennis is a cheater, right? And if you watch Tasha K, he's some other things, but I don't think I believe that because that rumor was just absolutely ridiculous, and I'm not going to repeat it. But yeah, everybody wanted them to work out. I guess they all got to know Dennis. They all got a little bit attached to him, but it didn't work, right? And the grandma was kind of trying to say, like, okay, it's sad that this happened, but basically Dennis is a player. And Dennis's mom, she came to the barbecue as well. She didn't really like that. And it is her son, so I know that she is going to kind of defend his behavior. It is what it is what I expect from her. But not the funny thing, but the awkward thing is, like, the grandma kept doubling down, right? And the grandma actually got up from the table and went around to Dennis's mom and Dennis and being like, there's no shade. You're a player. My son was a player. He likes the ladies. That's the kind of life he wanted to live. And you know what? I still love you and I still accept you as part of the family. But because of that, your relationship with Porsha couldn't work. And it is what it is. But I still love you. Right? That was the energy the grandma was trying to give. But Dennis's mom, she wasn't here for that. Right? Because it's like she saw it as an insult. She did. I do feel like the grandma should have just let it go. Like, you said what you said, you don't have to take it back. But once you started to see that Dennis's mom was getting defensive and trying to make excuses, you should have been like, okay, whatever. I said what I said. Let me go back to my seat. Because like Dennis wasn't offended because I feel like a part of Dennis knows that it is true, right? I think that, Dennis likes the ladies. That's what he likes. And it would be very hard for him to be in a monogamous relationship with Porsha if that's what Porsha wanted. Like, it wouldn't have worked out, right? So he accepts that. But, his mom, he doesn't, she doesn't want to hear that. But it is what it is. So Dennis and Porsha, they meet to discuss PJ. Although they didn't really discuss PJ, they kind of just, well, I wouldn't say they fought, but they discussed their breakup and everything. And like I said before, I don't know, something about the energy between Porsha and Dennis. I don't know. I like their banter. I like their back and forth. You know what I mean? But by seeing the flashbacks and hearing a little bit more from Porsha, it just becomes more clear that it wasn't meant to be. They definitely, even if Simon wasn't in the picture, I don't think Porsha and Dennis would have been together. Now, I think they probably would have had more of a back and forth. It would have went on a lot longer if it weren't for Simon, but eventually it would have ended anyways, right? Which is sad because it's like, you want them to work, but if someone is not going to be faithful to you and they're going to cheat, I mean, what else can you do at that point, right? And if you want a monogamous relationship, oh well, you can't really change the other person. Do they still love each other or whatever? Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to have some love for each other because they do have a child together. Like I said, they're going to have to deal with each other for the rest of each other's lives. It is what it is, right? And I guess this is just a normal part of that process. But what adds another layer of confusion is Porsha being engaged, right? And like I said, it's like she's moving on with another relationship, but at the same time, I don't really feel like she has fully got over Dennis or really healed from the breakup did she take the time to reflect on that relationship? Because like I said, Porsha has a pattern, right? And with Simon, she seems to be repeating the same pattern. Now, I know everybody is different, but I do think, especially if you find yourself kind of dating the same person over and over again, I think it's important to take the time out and reflect, the part of you that keeps being drawn to or attracting these same type of people, right? Because you can point the finger at them and blame, the other person. Like with, when she was at the dinner table with Dennis, she was like, if you didn't cheat, we would have still been together. And I don't doubt that it's true, but I wonder if Porsha asked herself the question of, why am I drawn to men that seem to be emotionally unavailable? Like, I don't know her pattern specifically, so I can't put my finger on it, but I do feel like there's a pattern there. And did she take the time to even find out what that pattern is and look within herself and see what part of me wants to keep recreating the same story over and over again? Now, Tisa tells, shout out again, she has some theories on that, right? But like I said, that's why it's important not to kind of jump into another relationship so quickly. But like I said, it is what it is. But I feel like I'm hopeful, right? Because they do have love for each other. Well, I'm talking about Porsha and Dennis. They do have a daughter together, so I do think they're going to figure it out. So let's just fast forward to Porsha meeting with Dennis's mom, because this review is hella long. Oh my gosh. It's like, okay, Dennis's mom. I gotta remember her name because I can't keep calling her Dennis's mom. But anyway, it's like, okay, Dennis's mom, I understand he's your son, right? But that's just the thing. He's your son. You're not in a relationship. You're not in a romantic relationship with him. So it's kind of like, how are you going to know whether he's a cheater or not, right? Like, you're not in the bed with him. Oh my God. Ugh. Let me take that back. But it is what it is, right? You're not in the bed with him. You don't see what he does because obviously he's not going to bring that stuff around you, right? So you can't speak so confidently on what your son is doing or not doing. The truth is, your son is a cheater, okay? Or maybe he's not a cheater, but he has cheated. And you can't defend that. I'm sorry, you can. If he's in a if he is in a monogamous relationship and he breaks that trust, that's his responsibility. Let him take accountability. Is it embarrassing? Sure, right? Listen, I guess Tasha K, shout out to her, shout out to Tasha K. I understand that it could be difficult to have bloggers and the audience on social media talking about your son in a negative way, right? I get that. But he did what he did. So he has to take accountability and responsibility for what he did. And you can't shield him and protect him from that. You can't. Because he did it. If he didn't do it, it would be another conversation, but he did, right? And I don't think Portia's mom was being disrespectful. I don't think she said what she said in a disrespectful way. I think she was just speaking truth, right? And she was also very open, like and empathetic, because she was like, look, I get it. I had a son that was the same way, and that's the lifestyle he chose to have, right? It is what it is, but I still love you and I still accept you as part of this family, right? There was no animosity there. There really wasn't, right? And I think Dennis's mom missed that whole message because she was trying to be defense, right? And her being defense is gonna F up it's gonna F up the relationship with Porsha and the family if she, I do understand at some point Porsha and the family are going to have to stop bringing up the fact that Dennis cheated. It's like at this point we know that he cheated, but it's still fresh, right? This is very recent. So it's going to take time. So Dennis's mom is going to have to give them a little bit of grace if they're going to bring it up. And it's not her battle. It's not. And that doesn't mean that they don't love Dennis. That doesn't mean that the family isn't going to try to make it work for PJ's sake. It just means that, okay, Dennis is not going to be the good guy in the situation, right? And nor am I saying that Portia's the victim in the situation, right? Because we don't really know what went on in that relationship fully, right? But they should be able to speak on it in order to heal and in order to move forward. I do think that Dennis's mom was being petty by saying, well, you cheated too, right? And she wasn't saying it in you could tell her intentions was to be petty and to get back at Porsha, right? If she brought it up in a situation, she brought it up sort of like, look, this has been bugging me. Your mother told me this information and it has hurt me, and for us to move forward, I feel like we need to discuss it, right? The mother brought it up more like a dig to get back at her, and stuff like that tit for tat, that's not gonna help the relationship. Now, according to Dennis's mother, it seems that Porsha had something going on when her and Dennis were kind of on again, off again, right? It sounded like an off again situation. Now, do I agree with that or whatever? It's a bit of a gray area, but it seems like the relationship was very volatile, period, right? So, did Porsha cheat? Some people will say she did. Some people, but we don't know the full story. We don't. We haven't heard from Portia's mom, so I can't really come to a conclusion on that one. All I will say, I heard some rumors about how the season is going to unfold, so we're gonna see. But they did end off the moment by, cheering, not cheering. Well, they ended the moment on a slight positive note. Porsha did invite her to the retreat that Lauren was planning. So we're going to see how everything unfolds, right? But I think both of them are going to have to kind of Porsha is going to have to let go, not let go, but she can't keep bringing up what Dennis did, right? Because the relationship is over, or that part of the relationship is over. Now they're co-parenting, right? So I do think it's fair maybe not to keep pointing the finger. And I do think that Dennis's mom needs to ease up a little bit in her defense of Dennis, because he is a grown man. He did what he did. So he has to take responsibility for it, and she can't shield him from that. So anyways, I really enjoyed episode 2. It was a really good episode. So you know what? I'm liking Portia's Family's Matters or whatever. I don't like the name of the show. I really don't. But I'm enjoying the show. So that's everything, guys.